Come much bigger than Buriram United, who have done particularly well last season. They stormed their way to the quarterfinals, having defeated some very illustrious opposition. Can they repeat that again? My name's Shazad Haq, and with me is Fox Sports pundit John Wilkinson. John, you've obviously spent some time playing in Thailand. You know Buriram United. What do we expect from these guys?
Very, very strong side. The foreigners in particular are very, very good quality. All of a sudden, within the space of about 3 or 4 years, they've become a real powerhouse within not even just the Southeast Asian region, but in Asia altogether. Very, very good last year. Commentated on a few of the AFC Champions League games. Really, really strong. Get the ball very wide and whip some really good balls in. Really looking forward to watching Jay Simpson from the UK, product of the Arsenal Academy. He's going to be real fun to watch.
Yes, some of the other players that they have, of course, David Roquela, who's a Spaniard, and they've also got Hirano Kai, who's from Japan. So a nice mix of foreign players. Also, Carmelo Gonzalez, another Spaniard in the team today. For Shandong Luneng, well, they've got some big names themselves. Apart from some Chinese internationals, they've also brought in the international goalkeeper Wang Dalei, the #1 for China, and the Argentine international midfielder Walter Montillo, which will really strengthen things up for them. They've got Santos as well, the Brazilian, and Wagner Love, who played in the Champions League as well in Russia. So some big names here. Of course, we know the Chinese football, they've been spending money, haven't they, recently?
They've been spending a lot of money. I mean, you mentioned Wagner Love just then. At one point, he was one of the top 10 most highest paid players in football, and look at him now. He just goes to show he's still got great ability, Wagner Love. Not over the hill by any means. He's going to be dangerous. He's going to be a man for us to watch.
Yes, the colourful hair of Wagner Love. I think we all remember that. Keep an eye out for him. We're sure you won't miss him
like
on the pitch.
Serena Williams, wasn't it? At the time?
Look, the other good thing, of course, is that Shandong, they were chasing Guangzhou Evergrande for most of last season. They ended up second in the Chinese Super League, but they've strengthened and from a neutral point of view, hope that they can keep up with Guangzhou this year. No one wants a one-horse race every year, do they?
No, we definitely don't. I mean, it shouldn't be ashamed to be finishing runner-up to Guangzhou Evergrande, because they were fantastic last season. They just blew everybody away, not just domestically, but continentally as well. They were very, very good, very strong, and they'll be strong again this year as well, as I expect Buriram to be.
Yes, so there is the Buriram side. Suri Suka, an international, of course, of great repute. Suchan Nutnam, also one that has been looked at overseas. Tiraton Bunmatan as well, an international player. And I'm sure you've experienced some of these guys before, John.
Yeah, I've played against Suri, of course. Very, very good player. What's scary is he's just about coming to his peak now. When I played against him, I thought he was exceptional. Had some time in Australia as well. I think it was Melbourne Victory he played for. Most of these Thai boys, internationals, used to playing in front of huge crowds under a lot of pressure. So you know, this partisan Chinese crowd's not gonna daunt them one bit.
And Chinese sides, you've also experienced playing against Chinese sides in the past, and Hernan Jianya, I believe, in the AFC Champions League. You've been in this competition, John. What does it mean to the players to be in this?
It's so special. And now that I have hung my boots up, when I'm asked what I miss most, it's actually this competition. Playing AFC Champions League on a cool evening in China or in Japan, and scoring my first Champions League goal, the first Champions League goal for Singapore side against Shanghai Shenhua.
Something you'll never forget.
Incredible feeling, really is. Beautiful stadiums, beautiful pitch, as we can see in front of us here. It's just so conducive to sharp passing football, and I expect to see a lot of that tonight.
Well, let's also talk about the coaches, particularly the coach for Shandong Luneng. Full name, Alexis Stival, better known as Kuka. This is the man that won the Copa Libertadores just a few months ago with Atletico Mineiro. He's now decided to come east and apply his trade here. What a fantastic achievement for him then, if he can now get the Asian Champions League as well as the South American one.
Oh, it's incredible, isn't it? But it's what an amazing coup as well for Chinese football. First of all, you've got Guangzhou Evergrande, who we mentioned, we've got Marcello Lippi, and now they've got this fella who's just very successful where he comes from in South American football, and it just goes to show the amount of money that's getting thrown around in China right now. Imagine what he's probably been offered in South America and in Europe, but he turns it down and goes to China for what will be an incredible challenge for him.
Yes, he has got a big task ahead of him, as we said, to keep up with Guangzhou Evergrande. And, you know, they're not the only side building. I'm sure everyone else has been spending money freely in Chinese football to try and topple Guangzhou's dominance of that Chinese Super League as we get things underway shortly. It is an early kickoff, by the way, so a good crowd, given that it's in the middle of the afternoon in China. And there is the official as well as Fagani Ali Reza from Iran, as are all the other officials, Hassan Kamranifa and Reza Sokandan, also from Iran, and the fourth official, Ashkan Khorshidi, as we get underway. Shandong in orange and Buriram in navy blue. And it's a terrific pace that you've talked about, that you like to see from Buriram, that they play with lots of width as well.
They play with lots of width. It was their first outing in the AFC Cup was I think it was 2012, and they beat the current J-League champions then 3-2. Which Kashiwa Reysol, which was incredible. It's the first time a Southeast Asian club has beaten a J-League team, and the J-League champions. It was a great result, but they did it by playing football, not parking the bus. They get the ball wide, a few taps in midfield. None of the central midfielders take too many touches, and then they get it out wide, and that's where they've got lots of pace.
Yeah, I recall that game, and they really blew a lot of people away. Just the way they played their football in 2012, and they went even better in 2013. So there is expectation, also because the other Thai sides have failed to get through. Mongtong United, you know, fell against Melbourne, 2-1 in the playoffs. So there'll be plenty of expectation for them as the ball comes across. They are trying to set the pace early on. One thing perhaps in their advantage as well, we must add, is that Buriram have already started the Thai Premier League. They've only had one game, to be fair, whereas this is the first competitive match for Shandong this season.
Well, that's going to make a difference, that really is, and it's got nothing to do with fitness levels, because all these boys will be very, very finely tuned. It's got to do with match practice, match fitness, which is a completely different animal altogether. It's all about knowing what to do, remembering what to do in the right areas and what not to do, and just having that balance and feeling comfortable on the ball again. I fully expect Buriram, the tempo that they play is very, very progressive. They play in Spanish style, of course. They're very heavily influenced by the Spanish national team. They try to play short passing game, start things very slowly, and then they quicken up the further up the field they get, and it can be very, very difficult to live with.
Yes, you mentioned the Spanish style. That's their coach, Alejandro Menendez, who's probably had a very big influence on them. He took charge of the team just before the quarterfinals of last year's Champions League in September. He replaced the Englishman Scott Cooper. He's had spells in charge of Celta Vigo, Racing Santander, even Real Madrid's B-side Castilla before he took this job at Buriram. So very experienced coach. That's his first coaching position outside his home country as well. So looks like he has adapted reasonably well so far.
Oh, definitely, definitely. It looks like all the players that he have over the last 2 seasons have really bought into his system, really enjoying it. And why not? It's a nice brand of football to not just to watch, but it's really enjoyable to play. It's focused on all the players, especially the midfield players, all having touches of the ball. Not very direct. They can go direct when they need to. We've seen them against Korean teams in the past go direct. But they have a free kick now, and they've got lots of players who are capable of causing problems from set pieces.
Tiraton has taken a big run up here. Ali Reza has moved that wall back. Also next to him, Suchao Nutnum. It's Suchao. Very, very comfortable. No problems at all for Wang Dale.
Well, probably that free kick just came a little bit too early for Suchao, because he's usually very, very good at these, and it's a decent distance out, just far enough out that he can get a lot of power behind it and get it under the crossbar as well, but didn't really get hold of that one.
This is the first time we're actually seeing Shandong in the final third. It's been all Buriram so far. They've looked impressive, as you say. That little bit of difference, that competitive game, may just give them the edge at the moment.
Yep. And we see Jay Simpson there, who's going to be one to watch for Shandong for sure. Very quick, played for Millwall, QPR, had a spell at Hull City as well. So he's got very, very good football IQ. Only 25 as well, so he's a good age to play his trade in Asia.
Well, it's well defended. Shandong try to put some pressure on this Buriram defence. Look, a well-organised unit at the moment. There's the Japanese player Hirano Kai. He looks no nonsense, this referee. Stiff challenges coming in. In front of their home fans, Shandong will certainly want to make an impression, and the expectation in China, especially after what Guangzhou Evergrande have done, is sky high, primarily because China have failed to do well in this tournament, though Shandong were successful in the early 2000s, getting to the semi-finals over a decade ago. But since then they have faltered. They've only just recently regenerated and started to show the kind of form that made them one of the most feared teams in Asia. But generally, Chinese teams have failed, or flattered to deceive rather, at this level.
Strange, really, isn't it? China, a lot of money in the football over in China, and have a huge pool of players, bigger than most other countries, of course. But as you say about Shandong, when we got to the semi-final 10 years ago, and 10 years is an absolute lifetime of football. Football doesn't stand still. You've got to keep up, and that's what I was so interested and fascinated to see Marcello Lippi when he went over to Guangzhou Evergrande, and he brought a whole team of coaches with him. It wasn't just him and maybe an assistant and perhaps a physio. He brought a whole group. I think it was about 12 coaches, so they're really trying to build something over there. You have academy coaches, so they're not just there for the short haul. They're there to build something, and they're coaching the kids. And he's already got a few youngsters up into the national team. You see, China national team now is looking a lot better from the days when I played against them, and they were actually, you know, I don't think I've ever lost against China national team, so that tells you everything.
I think you made a very good point as well, John, about the academy, because you're right, he's coming from the grassroots level as well, isn't it? It's bottom up, and there's a lot of praise for the Guangzhou youth system now, which wasn't really in place for many of these clubs in China.
Well, I think the owners now, or the big companies that own these clubs and are ploughing all this money in, I think they're starting to realise now it's much better to look at longevity, because you can only bring, and I mean, if you look at a tournament like the AFC Champions League, you can only play 4 foreigners. So if you really have aspirations of winning this or doing well in this, you have to blood your locals. You have to prepare for the next season, bringing the young players through. And how nice it is for the fans as well, that they can really associate with youngsters that they've seen around town or whatever. And that's the case with Buriram. A lot of homegrown talent. Their academy as well is really flourishing. So it's great to see.
Jinjing Dao was just receiving some treatment on the side. There's already been a few challenges which have upset both sets of players. Nothing wrong with that. They're both trying to set their stall out early, John, and
well, that's exactly
letting their presence be known.
Felt. Yeah, they let each other know that they're not going to have time on the ball, and it's not going to be too comfy for them. That's very important for Shandong, of course. They can't let Buriram get too comfortable, as I said before, especially in the midfield areas like here.
Ball given away very cheaply indeed. The pass really ought to have been better. Santos waiting. Yes, they're trading possession rather too easily at the moment. I'm sure to the frustration of both the coaches. Good spread of possession required at the moment. I must say, Buriram do not look out of their depth at the moment.
No, it looks like they're playing very, very much within themselves. Not looking as technically sharp as I've seen them, of course. But still, Shandong yet to really test Buriram in any way, shape or form. Interesting to see. Sorry, Shez. Interesting to see Jay Simpson playing as a striker. From what I've heard and read about him and seen bits and bobs, saw him play for Millwall, he's actually a better winger, I think. I think he's more of a winger. Very, very sharp, very quick, very direct. And his final ball's not too shabby either.
That is a great bit of play down that right-hand side from Montillo. Argentine international, we did speak about him earlier. Just slipping that ball through for Wagner Love. But Marcello doing well to come across. Had to get that right.
He had to get that absolutely right. Still got a good turn of pace, Wagner Love. Sure, very, very good eye for goal.
Well, this is his first real chance as Montillo delivers. First half chance of the game then for Shandong as the header sails over from Wang Chiang. Give him a little bit more confidence. Shandong used to be known as the Manchester United of Chinese football because they just about won everything in the late 90s and early 2000s. As I said, got to the semi-finals of the Champions League a decade ago. And then, of course, as with any successful team, others with money start cherry-picking your top players.
Well, you mentioned Manchester United, didn't you? So, you know, all teams have to go through a transitional period at some point. It's whether you can kind of paper the cracks over while that transition takes place. Shandong haven't been able to do it, of course, and it remains to be seen how well Man United cope with doing it.
Yes, their previous coach, Vladimir Antic, was in charge of them 10 years ago when they had a very, very good run. He came back to take over the side. This is one of the most accomplished coaches in Spanish football as well, with Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid and Barcelona. So not many coaches can claim that honour.
No.
So they've had the resources in the past, now getting, as you said, a great coup for them to get Kuka. Now Buriram with a free kick. Good area here. The referee's very particular about it. He's keeping a close eye on things. With a few challenges. Tiraton with the ball.
It's a difficult ball to handle. It really was. Shandong defence had to be really on their guard, because it came in with a lot of pace and dipped just towards the near post. I didn't see any contact there.
I'm not sure there was much there, John.
Contact there.
Pratham Chutong with that supposed challenge. This is Ting Tao.
Chutong dropping back there. We saw Shez, fantastic athlete. Really is a great athlete. I actually like him when he's bringing the ball out from defence a little bit more. I like that coming into midfield, because he's a bit of a beast. He loves a tackle. He can spray the balls decent technically as well, like a lot of these Thai guys. Look at these Thai players, very comfortable with the ball at their feet. Good futsal players as well. Very popular futsal. They have a professional league in Thailand, so all of these boys would have played that as well.
Well, you mentioned the style that these guys like to play, and you mentioned the Spanish style, and let's not forget, of course, Tirasal Dangda has moved to Almeria of La Liga, well, for next season anyway, and that is a huge, huge move, isn't it, for him? And yeah, if Almeria can stay in La Liga, that is, but still, playing in Segunda, still fantastic for him.
Oh, it's great. It's a great opportunity for him. And if you were talking about the Thai style and the Spanish style of play, this might sound a little strange to the layman, or when I tell friends of mine back in the UK that they're very, very similar styles. People always ask me, how? What do you mean? So, in the middle of the park, in the midfield areas, Thailand have this pool of fantastic talent in central midfield. They can really pass the ball around, and great technical players. Differences, I think, in Thailand, they're getting better now, but traditionally their final ball or their cutting edge, they hadn't quite got that cutting edge. Getting better, of course.
Dale authoritative in the air, distributes the ball quickly. Montilla brought down. Play continues to his annoyance. Ronald Santos keeping the ball pretty well now. Buriram. Just see the gloves on there. Let's not forget, for Pratham Chutong there, it is cold in China, and these guys would not be used to it at all.
It's cold in China. It's very warm in Thailand as well. It really is. When these boys have been doing pre-season, further north.
That's about as cold as it gets.
That's about as cold as it gets, yeah. Definitely don't need the gloves.
And they're talking about gloves coming off and that sort of thing. There's been a few niggles, haven't there, early on in this game. Nothing untoward, but frustrations.
Yeah, I think some of these players just trying to catch their breath a little bit. A few players as well. It's their first time playing in the AFC Champions League. It's a different atmosphere than probably what they're used to. First game, of course, just trying to settle down a little bit. We haven't seen too much composure from either side, but Buriram seem to be edging it.
Again, gets the cross in. Well dealt with.
That's where Buriram's really dangerous.
Yeah, they're good there, aren't they? They've been doing that a few times. Haven't seen enough of Shandong at the moment.
A little bit like a rabbit caught in the headlights at the moment, Shandong. Just trying to feel the opponents out, see what they're all about.
Well, this is their 6th AFC Champions League appearance, and none of the players here would have had experience of that previous campaign that they've been in. So you're right, it's a little bit of an experience perhaps showing at the moment. Buriram, this is only their 3rd campaign, but they're looking old-handed already.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, as well, Shandong don't have, I think they've only got about 2 or 3 national team players as well at the moment, currently on the pitch. And that makes a big difference as well, because international games, playing for your country, playing in continental competitions, the pressure is completely different than domestically. And as you said earlier, Shez, it's a lot of pressure for the Chinese teams to really perform in the Champions League, especially against Thai opposition.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of the supporters, they won't be that familiar with Thai opposition, and traditionally they would expect their Chinese sides to beat Buriram or beat a Thai side.
Jay Simpson, I mean, he received an awful pass, really, but pulling the trigger a bit too early, do you think?
I think he didn't really trust himself. He's going to be a bit more positive, take it on a little bit further. He was almost in a 1v1 situation, and he's definitely got the pace to beat Wang.
Got to back himself there, surely.
I think so. I think he's got to be a lot more confident. He's another one that's not used to playing in Champions League football or continental football like this. Played for the England under-18s, of course, England under-17s. So pressure comes with that.
First time they've managed to deliver a cross in. That one coming from Wang Tong. Best of crosses. I think we've got to go back to that chance. Jay Simpson, what a pass he received, really. Awful one. And here he is, chance to run at players if he wants to. Space down the left-hand side. Hirano Kai opts to go back. Simpson now. Looking dangerous, Buriram at the moment. They've got plenty of space in midfield as well.
It's a decent passage of play, and I think Buriram will be a little bit disappointed they couldn't get a strike on goal. Yeah, decent possession in the final third, but at one point it was 4-on-4. Hirano Kai, the Japanese midfielder, very, very technical player, great left foot. There's just a little opportunity there where he could have he was in 1v1 situation. If he could have made some space for himself and got a strike on goal, would have been a better option than just clipping the ball in.
They are proving very dangerous at the moment. Buriram United up against Shandong Luneng. It's match day 1 of the AFC Champions League. Goalless at the moment, but a fascinating game. Great energy shown by the Thai side at the moment. Lackluster, I'm afraid, from Shandong at the moment. Really got off the mark just yet. Take the blocks.
I think what's fascinating to look at is trying to have a look at how Buriram have set up in this game. It's interesting to see, because usually Buriram play almost, when they're defending, it's like a 4-3-3. But when they've got the ball, it completely changes, and it's very difficult to figure out, because in midfield, they flood the midfield very, very well. And it looks like they always have an extra man in midfield.
Hint of handball, which is given. I think we just saw a passage of play where Jay Simpson had run 20-30 yards to track back and help out.
Get behind the ball.
Yeah, they're just well drilled at the moment, aren't they?
They are very well drilled. It's the work ethic. All good teams and good performances are built on a very good work ethic. Most progressive teams and quality teams, their formation changes from when they don't have the ball to when they do have the ball, of course. It changes very, very quickly. I think for sure the Spanish teams, the transition period is very, very fast.
Interesting, Kuka had said that this team was well prepared for the game. The last game was a friendly, and it was part of their preparations. He said they're ready for this great challenge. Friendly, though, it just doesn't have that intensity, does it?
No, it doesn't. There'll be, I'm sure, with this game one eye on this game, a few of the players would have been taking it easy, being a little bit cautious. Depends on who you play, of course, but in my experience, there's no such thing as a friendly. You've got to treat every game the same, regardless of who you're playing.
In contrast, you look at Buriram, who played last weekend on the 22nd against Songkhla United, first game of the season, and they won 3-0. So comfortable for them. They're second in the table, below Chonburi, who was the other team that failed to get through the qualifiers and looked very impressive.
Well, I was a bit shocked actually, because I would have thought Chonburi would have got through. There's another Thai side with a fantastic academy, heavily influenced by the Japanese, and my old buddy there, an old former teammate, Tersak Chaiman, who's still heavily involved in playing and the coaching staff.
The evergreen Tersak Chaiman.
The evergreen Tersak Chaiman, the best teeth in football. Ronaldinho would probably dispute that, but yeah, if you're listening, Tersak, I miss you.
Yes, eliminated in the qualification stages. Again, I was watching one of their qualification games. Hugely impressive the way they play their football.
The brand of football is terrific, isn't it? And the way they keep the ball. Another Thai side in the middle of the park, in the midfield areas. It's like they're just enjoying themselves playing keep ball with you. Very, very good side, technically very good, and so well supported as well.
And here comes Shandong, trying to create something. Onside is a call there, and there's a half a chance. Well, there was a half-hearted appeal for a penalty. Let's see if we can get another look at that one. Referee totally unmoved. To be fair, we weren't really up and up.